On this episode of the John1911 Podcast, the AR-15 goes CNR. Century drops the M1 deal. Chances of Russian firearms imports goes way downhill. And the LOL assassin. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is Marky and Freeze, and this is episode 54 of the John1911 Podcast. How's it going, Freeze?
Pretty good.
Good. We're doing this one. It's, what is today, Wednesday, the 15th?
Yes, the 15th.
So we're a little bit late in the day and late in the, late in the schedule. I was traveling. I was supposed to be gone possibly up to a month, at least 2 weeks, and I was gone for a week. I was able to get back. Things went well, so I was able to get back into town. And then today, you couldn't do anything. You had to go to an eye doctor, and you were basically blind today. You called me from your truck. Hey, man, I just left the eye doctor. You want to do a podcast? By the way, I can't see shit.
Yeah, it's a bitch when they dilate your eyeballs.
Yeah, and I know you don't have Bluetooth in your truck, so you were driving one-handed and blind with your phone up there with your ear.
No, I had you on speakers.
Okay. Oh, pretty good. Okay. Your phone sounds pretty good with the speaker. So, all right, man, I am exhausted. I just, and there's been so much going on, and, it's just, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, I'll start with the easy stuff. The 45 pistol and the, that 12 gauge we had discussed, they are in the armory. They got in here today. Do you remember what I'm talking about? I don't want to go into too much detail, but I forgot to tell you. Remember the 12 gauge with that folding stock? Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even. We have so many guns. It's in the armory. It's here, and then that 45 is here too. So, man, yeah, I tell you what, that 45 is huge. Oh my God, that's a big gun.
No, that's okay.
We'll do more. We'll do more with it because we're doing more video and stuff coming. We got so many videos coming. It's just ridiculous. So,
yeah. I mean, there's not enough time in the day to actually do the things that we need to get done.
Yeah, just kind of broke up on me there. Did you bang your microphone or did your internet just die?
No, I moved my microphone a little bit.
Okay, that's okay. I was just making sure. So the way things have been going. Oh man, I was traveling so much. I have a 12 gigabyte data package for my for all of my mobile devices, and there was no internet and no no internet, no satellite, and it was just, oh my God, I was down to less than 10% left trying to get back back home. And then I heard from someone here in the office, and you were telling me that they were like, oh yeah, the phone company now has unlimited data package. And it's like,
well, yeah, I mean, I've heard they're advertising it. Now I don't know if that's unlimited data for mobile hotspots or for a phone package. I didn't really look into the details of it, but for traveling purposes, it doesn't really matter if it's a hotspot or your phone data. I mean, either one works.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're now offering unlimited data. Yay.
Yeah, and we're doing video, and what happens is when I'm traveling and I'm pushing a lot of video back and forth to the servers and the websites and stuff, it just eats up the bandwidth. I mean, it almost, and the thing is, those unlimited data packages, you just know there's some kind of, limiter on that or something, or it's slow, or there's just, I just don't trust them.
Well, the problem that, I mean, I'm sure this varies depending on where you are in the country and what services you use, but the problem that the phone companies that have the unlimited data around here, the problem is their coverage sucks. Yeah, they have unlimited data, but if I'm at Mitchell Range and I don't have service, unlimited data doesn't do me a damn bit of good.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, this came up while I was out of town, and it's been bouncing around the industry. So apparently, the Colt SP1 AR-15 rifle is now CNR eligible.
Yep, it has reached its the proper age.
Yeah. Hashtag get ready for people bitching that their FFL dealers will not honor their CNR. Because, dude, most FFLs, you're like, well, look, I have a CNR. Just put my number on your books. They're going to be like, fuck you, buddy.
The truth is, guys that have CNR license know this, and it's not an issue. The only people that bitch about that are either people that are new to the CNR game or guys that don't have one who want one, but they're looking at all the ins and outs, and basically they're trying to cheat the system. And look, a CNR is not to cheat the system. A CNR is just to make life easier on everyone. If you're a collector, it's a way to where you don't have to pay transfer fees and have it sent to a licensed, dealer and all that, and fill out the 4473 and all that nonsense. It just makes life easier for the collector. But if you're just a guy who's trying to cheat the system, the CNR is not for you. I want to, look, most dealers, like, you got a dealer in, I don't know, Montana, who's selling a CNR specific firearm on Gunbroker. He may or may not honor your CNR license. It depends on what kind of a dealer he is. If he's a dealer that does a lot of CNR business and he's familiar with it, he's set up for it, he will. If he's not, if CNR guns are 1 or 2% of his annual business, he's not going to mess with it. He's not going to set up anything special. He's just going to run it through his books like normal. And then even though you have a CNR license, he's going to send it to your FFL. Now it's up to you. If you have a relationship with that FFL, they'll take your license, maybe, maybe not. Some things, just because it's CNR doesn't mean you don't have to jump through the 4473 hoops when you have a CNR. But the other side of that coin is if I have a CNR license and I have my bound book for all the guns that I've purchased from, Century or AIM or whoever, Centerfire Systems or whatever company I bought a CNR from, those are on the bound books. But say I buy a gun from Marky and it's a CNR gun and we do a transfer through a regular FFL, gun store, and I have to fill out a 4473, that gun does not have to go on my bound book because it wasn't a transfer on my CNR. That was a flat out straight purchase.
Yeah, so that's a good point. A lot of people forget. Once you break the CNR bonds, you don't have to put it, it's just a regular gun transfer.
Well, yeah, now, okay, so I've got this gun in my gun safe, and it's not on my bound book because it's just a regular gun transfer. But now Bob Smith in Arkansas wants to buy it. I'm selling it, and he's got a CNR license, and I have a CNR license. I can go ahead and send that gun, even though it's not on my books, I can send that to him directly once I get a copy of his license, and then I put it on my books as a CNR item that I sold to Bob in Arkansas through his CNR license, because I log his information in my bound book and I log the rifle out. I mean, look, a CNR license is not difficult. It's very simple, and it's put out there to make life simple for the collector. But again, if you're a guy trying to cheat the system and make things harder than it should be, the CNR is not for you. Look, if you're buying a CNR and the dealer says, nah, you know what, I don't really want to mess with that. I just want to go through my regular books and transfer it to your dealer. Just say you have a choice. Your choice is to say, okay, no big deal. Or you just say, yeah, you know what, I don't really want to do that, and pass on the sale. You know,
one thing I've noticed, I've seen this on the internet recently because now I guess a lot of people are interested in the CNR, is you'll get a guy who, okay, let's I will use you as kind of a pseudo example. You were one of the biggest Russian milsurp dudes in the country. You know, or I'm not going to get into too much specifics of it, but,
let me say, I was a parts guy.
Okay.
I wasn't a milsurp dealer.
Okay. Well, let me just make the point to make it simple. So, you know, you've got all kinds of Russian stuff in your collection, and you'll see these guys on the internet, and they'll see a person who is a CNR, and it seems like they're always, quote, selling guns. And they'll start complaining, be like, well, that guy's not a collector, he's a dealer. And it's interesting because you can tell a lot of people don't understand how collecting really works, because collectors are always trading or upgrading. And also what collectors do, like, for example, like, okay, you know, you'll see the guy, who's the guy on the internet with, looks like, to me, he always looks like a Civil War reenactor.
Oh, Ian.
Yeah. Okay. So he's always at one of those auction houses, and he'll be talking about, you know, a certain gun or whatever. And he'll say, and I quote, this gun is part of a multi-gun lot. And when you bid on it, you get multiple guns. Well, what ends up happening is dealers buy guns, collectors buy guns at auctions in lots. They pull out what they want, and then they use it as the other stuff as trade bait. And sometimes a gun they pull out of a lot will be an upgrade of a gun that was their best gun, and now they'll switch them, and their former, quote, best gun now becomes a cherry gun that they can sell or trade to other dealers. And a lot of people new to this game don't understand that CNR guys sell a lot of guns because they're always trading, buying, swapping, dealing, all kinds of craziness. That's the license is set up for that.
See, and that's what a lot of guys don't understand. There is no limit on how many guns you can transfer, buy, sell a year with the CNR license. The stipulation is it's not a business license. You can't make a living off of your CNR license.
Yeah, there's a big difference. Not make a living, not make money. I don't know anybody that collects anything that their collection doesn't go up in value.
Well, look, okay. So I'm an ATF agent, and you happen to be one of those rare guys that has a CNR license who gets audited.
Okay.
Okay. So I set up an appointment, and you're okay with me coming to the house because you don't have to. We can set up the appointment at my office, but you know, you're okay. It makes it easier.
Yeah, most CNR guys, that is a huge pain in the dick to bring all your guns down to the local ATF office.
Yes. So I show up to the house, and you know, you break out your book, and I go through and say, okay, let me see this gun, this gun, this gun, this gun, this gun. You go down to the armory and you grab those guns, or you take me to the armory. It's up to you. You know, it's your house. I'll comply with your wishes. You bring them up and I check them, see if you have them. It's like, okay, you know, and we do the audit. And I'm looking at the books, and I noticed that in the fiscal year 2016, you sold 150 guns. But I also saw that you bought 200. Look, I can tell by looking at your books if you're running a business and making a profit. No, I mean, I'm sorry. That's not not making a profit, making a living.
Yeah.
That's the difference. No, I mean, it's okay to make a profit. I mean, but I can tell, you know, I can tell by looking at your books if if you quit your job at Procter and Gamble or Hughes Aircraft to sell CNR guns for a living. I mean, you can tell by looking at the books.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of, well, he's only allowed to sell 4 guns a year. No, you can sell as many as you want,
Or trade.
I used to buy on my license, back way back in the 90s, Century Arms, and that's how I got a lot of my parts.
We want to bring up Century Arms too, and I don't want to forget that topic, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, they had a category called You Fix-Ems. When they would bring in these Milsurp rifles, they'd go through them and clean them up and sort them, and the ones that were just pure junk, they threw in the junk pile. Or a rifle, because they were selling these guns so cheap, it wasn't worth taking time. CNR collectors are dicks. Collectors are picky douchebags. They want to buy a rifle for $50, but they want it to be a $500 mint perfect rifle. And I know a dozen collectors that are like this. They'll get it and they'll say, you know what, man, I don't really like the quality or the grain of the wood. I'm going to return it. Well, look, they've already lost money by handling the gun twice. They just chuck it in the pile. So back in the 90s, they would sell these You Fix-Ems for $9.99 a piece. So I'd go in there and I'd buy 20, 30 You Fix-Ems at $9.99 a piece. They send them to me. I'd lay them all out. And probably about 20% of them were perfectly fine rifles. And I pulled them out, booked them in, and they were a rifle. The rest of them, I would strip them. What I would do is I would complete as many rifles as I could using parts. Then I had good rifles. The rest of them, I would strip down for parts. That's where I got most of my parts that I sold. And because I had these bound in my book as being received, because I bought them on my license, how I would get rid of them is when I when I had 40, 50 barreled receivers laying around, I'd cut the receivers in half and write them off my books as destroyed. And I'd save half the receiver in a bucket. I had a 5-gallon bucket in case I ever got audited and they wanted to see the destroyed receiver. I could show them half of it. And honestly, the other half, the barrels, I just sold them as barrels. It had half a receiver on it, but that was up to whoever bought them.
So that saved you the trouble of even trying to break the barrel out of the receiver. You just cut them.
Yeah, I just cut the receiver in half, and then I'd sell the barrel with half a receiver on it, and then it wasn't a gun because the receiver was destroyed.
And these were junk. These were junk anyway.
Oh yeah, these were junk. These were the worst of the worst, because if I could put it together and make it a functional rifle, I did. And the worst of the rifles I sold off. And the best ones I kept. But I bought these You Fix-Ems for parts because I was in the parts business, not in the what's the phrase, all these douchebag collectors, I'm a steward of the gun. I don't really own these guns. I'm a steward saving them for future jab. Bite me. I was a parts guy. I stripped these bastards down, sold the parts to people who really needed them, and trashed the rest.
Okay. Yeah, I knew you were a huge parts guy, so that makes perfect sense.
So that's a way of having a CNR license and making it work for your business. I didn't make a living off of CNR guns. I made a living off of parts.
That's interesting. That's even more. This actually got more interesting because I never really thought about it. But yeah, you would get all these You Fix-Em guns, and they were guns. Even if it was like with a receiver with a broken barrel and a broken stock, as far as your book is concerned, that's a firearm.
Yes. Now, some of the worst, man, I got a Russian 9130 remember the old Looney Tunes cartoons where Elmer Fudd, Bugs Bunny would stick a carrot in Elmer Fudd's shotgun, and when it would blow up, it would mushroom?
Yeah.
I actually got a rifle with a mushroomed barrel. The end of the barrel was mushroomed. It wasn't like mushroomed like the cartoon, but it was peeled back pretty good, I mean, it was junk.
Yeah. That's so okay, you get an old gun. Okay, you get a gun that's quote mushroomed. It's got a broken stock and a mushroom barrel. Do all of these guns? Let's say it's a gun made in 1890. I don't know. Let's see, 1901. Okay. If they're in such bad shape, did you ever run across a gun that you couldn't get the serial number off of it, or didn't have a discernible serial number? How did you handle that? How does that work?
No, because when the importer
they just reserialize them.
They're all serialized.
Okay.
Yeah,
because after 68.
Because the Russian serial number honestly doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah.
It's the serial number that. But you know what? If you go down in production now.
Well, that was a question. So, like, let's say Century, they get a gun. It's got a broken stock and a mushroomed barrel. It's like a Russian Mosin, whatever. And they get that gun in the U.S. They have to stencil a serial number on that, even though it's a piece of crap.
Yep. Yes, they do.
That's interesting. I just never even thought about that.
Because the barrel doesn't make the gun, the receiver does.
Yeah,
now, if the receiver's damaged beyond control, then they don't. Then it's. Then they don't have to serialize it, but they can't sell it as a firearm either because, it's damage. But check this out. If you go down in production right now, you'll note that on the shelf there is a Russian stripped receiver. I use it as a paperweight. But you'll note that the receiver's not cut in half. The receiver's solid, but the barrel's cut. And the reason for that being is the barrel was beyond salvageable.
I think I'm familiar with this. I think I know where this is going. I think I know this gun.
Well, I mean, you probably don't pay attention to it because it's been sitting down there, and I just use it to weight paper down and stuff on one of my shelves. But the reason I kept that is because from a collector's point of view, the markings on that receiver are kind of collectible. Now, will I ever do anything with it? Nah, probably not. It's a paperweight. It's kind of a cool paperweight too. But
is that the polar bear gun?
No.
Or whatever they call that?
No. That's a Westinghouse with a popped barrel.
Okay.
This thing's only about maybe 8 inches long.
Okay. It's really cut.
Yeah, I cut the barrel right past the threads, but down the road, I might find a collector that wants that receiver for something. Who knows? Or you know what? I might want to do some kind of a build with it. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So you know what? Let me ask you this, because you had texted me while I was traveling, and you said, since we're talking about imports and you specifically mentioned Century, did you say Century laid off some people because of the M1 Garand import thing?
Yes.
Well, do you believe that?
Yes and no.
Tell the listeners what we're talking about.
Okay, Century Arms. For those that don't know Century International Arms, everyone calls it Century Arms, but it's CIA Century International Arms. They're out of Virginia. They're one of the largest importers, CNR firearms in the country. They're the biggie. A lot of your like J&G sales, a lot of like Southern Ohio guns,
a lot of AIM stuff.
A lot of AIM stuff. Sometimes they do import themselves, but the vast majority of their guns you're buying from them, they buy from Century. Because from a business point of view, it's easier. But anyway, what happened is they geared up, they cut deals, they were going to bring in all these Korean M1 Garands. They had the Garands bought. I don't know if they had paid full value or if they had paid a deposit, but they had them warehoused. They were ready for the lifting of the importation ban on these, and they were ready to bring them in. Well, of course, that never went through.
And that was during when Clinton was sex state, right? And they stopped it.
I don't know when they, but what happened is during the Obama years, they were going to lift, if you remember 4 or 5 years ago, they were talking about lifting the ban on the M1 Grands and everyone was excited about it. And this is when they set this up. Well, because of the bullshit that went down, while Obama was in office and, gun violence and shootings and all that shit. In 2013, they nixed everything. Not only they nixed everything, they stopped importing. Hell, you're not even allowed to bring in, a lot
of Russian stuff now.
A lot of Russian stuff, yeah. And all that stuff. They even made it more stringent. So what happened is, since this has all fell through, Century Arms has laid off. I don't quote me on the number. I want to think it's like 90 employees. But
Damn.
these were employees that, think about this. Think about how many guns this involved. These 90 employees were people that were going to be dealing with these Grands. But the problem is there's nothing coming down the road, and they can't, basically they can't afford to employ an extra 100 people.
Is it really? They laid off 90 people?
That's the number I heard.
Damn, how big is Century? I mean, I know they're big, but I mean, personnel-wise?
Century's pretty big. I mean, they're based out of Virginia, but they've got. I think
I've seen Century guns marked Vermont.
I'm sorry. I meant Vermont. I think I said Virginia. I meant Vermont. They're based out of Vermont, but they're all their import stuff comes through Florida.
Yeah, I've seen Miami, Florida too for their stuff.
Yeah.
Or is it Ocala? I've seen something in Florida with CAI.
All the import stuff comes in through Florida, which is all your east your big East Coast ports are down in Florida. So I mean, I don't know the size of their business employee wise, but they've got multi-state locations. So
you think Trump has heard about this? Because Trump's all about jobs. He could save 90 jobs.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe we should tweet him.
Well, I mean, I would imagine someone along the lines has pushed this up the ladder towards the White House. I mean, it only makes sense. Because the thing is, this was like a $30 million deal.
Oh, really? It was $30 million?
Yeah, this was like a $30 million deal. I mean, this was a huge deal, and it's affecting, it's affecting a lot of employees. Look.
If anyone's ever interested, they can get on the internet and they can look at the numbers of Grands that the U.S. has given to all of these different governments around the world. Because I remember like a bunch of Grands came in through CMP that were Greek guns. Then there's the South Korean guns and
there's the old Blue Sky guns that came in.
I remember, dude. Everyone hated those guns for some reason. I don't even remember why.
Yeah, look. We produced so many Grands and sent them overseas. There's the Dutch, the Danish Grands. Hell, they even made their own bayonets, which are quite collectible these days.
I mean, I remember we gave 50 or 100,000 of these Grands to Saudi Arabia, and we made so many Grands during World War II. We gave Grands to everybody. I mean, it's not oh my God, if we can't get Grands out of South Korea, we're never going to get any more. Dude, there's racks and stacks of... Dude, there's probably racks and stacks of Grands in Russia. With all that Lend-Lease stuff. Or whatever. It wasn't Lend-Lease to the Russians. It was, let's bail your ass out. But whatever it was.
Well, look. We sent Grands, even after World War II. When we were using,
Yeah, we surplused them out in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. I mean, we've given them to everybody.
Yes, exactly. And the thing is, during Korea, all those Grands that went over there, very few of them made it back to the United States. They stayed. And then when we switched over to the M14, we just took all our Grands and gave them to the South Korean military. Not that we weren't already, arming them with M1 Grands anyway. There's Grands all over the world.
Oh, dude, there's a famous photograph of, I can never say his name. Is it Che Guevara? People know Che is, right? There's a photograph of him dead, and there's, people standing around him. And if you look, the guys standing around him, they're all carrying Grands.
Yeah.
They shot Che Guevara with a Grand. And, when was he killed? He was killed
60s.
I think the 60s.
Yeah. Man, I don't know how many Grands are out in the world.
Millions.
But we sent Grands to, everywhere. Southeast Asia's loaded with them.
There's probably Grands in Egypt.
Well, there's Grands in Cuba.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah. There would be. Yeah. Oh, shit. As a matter of fact, we gave them to Castro when Castro had basically tricked everybody he wasn't a communist.
Yeah. Check this out. A lot of people don't think about this, but Japan's got a bunch of Grands because after the war.
Oh yeah, those guns didn't come home.
When we occupied Japan, we gave Grands to, the Japanese didn't officially have a military at that point, but they still had police and they still had, we gave Grands to the Japanese.
Sure. Yeah. Once Grands can come back into this country, and that's what's really interesting, because like people that are interested in Grands or people that are interested in 1911s, once there's such a demand pent up now in the U.S. for these guns, because dude, when you and I were kids, dude, they were everywhere.
Oh yeah.
You couldn't. You could swing a dead cat and hit a Grand.
Oh yeah.
It was just crazy, and now. Once the floodgates open, it's going to be. We're going to get drowned in these guns.
Oh, let me blow your socks off.
1911s too.
Let me blow your socks off with this one. Once we're allowed to re-import U.S. manufactured weapons into this country, think about the Smith & Wesson, the break top Model 3s that we made in 44 Russian that we sent over to Russia.
Oh yeah. Oh,
think about getting some of those bad boys in with Russian proof marks on it. Man, those would go for huge bucks. Hell, they go for huge bucks now.
Whatever happened to all those 18? Those I don't know how many of those we sent during World War I. That we sent over to the Russians.
The Mosins?
No, the gun that Teddy Roosevelt made real famous in the .405 caliber. It's last of the lever guns.
Oh, the 1890s.
Is it 95?
The 1895 Winchester.
Yeah, those would be cool as shit.
54R.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, man, that'd be awesome. Well, but you know what? We sent grease guns to Russia. We sent M1 carbines. During World War II with the Lend-Lease, we sent all that stuff over there. Well, check this out. This is something that no one ever talks about. No one knows the numbers. But I wonder how many, and not that we would ever, even if they lifted the import ban, not that we'd ever see them, but think about this. How many M1 Grands and M1 carbines do the North Koreans have stockpiled somewhere from captures?
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude.
Think about that. No one ever talks about North Korea.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way to get the numbers, but...
Oh, dude, think about all the guns that are in Vietnam.
Yeah.
I have, buddies and coworkers, and, they go all around Southeast Asia, And they send me photographs of all kinds of, I mean, like early Colt carbine rifles, like the Colt, like I don't remember what they can call it. Like all these guns that they're reproducing now. I mean, you go over there and you find them everywhere, select fire. I mean, all kinds of stuff.
Well, to give you a little taste, everyone's already had a little bit of a taste of what's out there. They just don't realize it. But look at all the photographs of pictures of old firearms that British and U.S. troops have found when they were in Afghanistan and Iraq. You know, old World War I, hell, you know, I mean, there's all this stuff over there in the Middle East that's been floating around that, you know, these troops are over there and they come across them. They're like, oh, they take pictures of them.
Oh, dude, it was a couple years ago. This was before ISIS became a thing, and it was the rebels. You know, this is when, like, I knew a guy who went over there to Syria because he was going to, like, make his bones being a reporter, and he was going to report on the Free Syrian Army and fighting against Assad and oppression and, you know, all that kind of shit. And, you know, turns out all the people he was helping, they all ended up becoming ISIS and al-Nusra. So he's fucked. And, you know, it's, you know, people, careful what you wish for. People don't realize that. A lot of Americans, a lot of people went over there to do that. Now they're all hiding out in Kurdistan waiting for a way to come home. But, dude, they had broken into one of these Syrian army depots. I mean, they had these rebels, and they had cracked open crates of either Arsenal refinished or new STG-44s. I mean, it was hundreds of them. Yeah. Hundreds of these fucking things. And, you know, I mean, it was just like, what a goddamn I mean, I hate to be cursing everybody, but I mean, like, these guns are so valuable and so rare. Just for the historical significance, all those guns should come into the U.S. It was sad. Yeah. And these guns are all getting chewed up in Syria. Cause, you know, once they run out of the 8mm Kurtz ammo, those guns are paperweights. Yeah. Unless they're able to get ammo out of Eastern Europe, which a lot of people don't realize. A lot of weapons. You know, where do all these weapons come from that are fighting in these wars? You know, I mean, look, you know, all the shit that we were doing in Libya, getting guns to the Syrians, you know, like Benghazi and all that. That's all dried up. Where are they getting all these guns from now? Where are the Saudis getting guns from to pump into their rebel buddies? They're getting them out of Eastern Europe. Flights of them. Flights and flights. They fly into, you know, UAE, and then they fly in and truck them in. I mean, but there's so many interesting guns getting chewed up in that conflict. It was, you know, these guns, you know, in the U.S., you think these guns are moon rocks. And, there's stacks of them.
Well, exactly. And the thing with that is, that's not okay. You're talking about Syria. I was talking about, what was found in, like, you know, Iraq and Afghanistan. But the thing is, it's like that around the world.
Oh yeah. You know,
and once we're allowed to start importing shit again, dude, I mean,
well, I'll tell you what.
It could be a whole new ballgame.
Let me go ahead and weave some politics into this, okay? You know, there's all the stuff going on with Mike Flynn turning in his papers as NSA, to the White House NSA, you know, under Trump, and, you know, they're all talking about, you know, the Russians and all this crazy horse crap. Well, everybody's so pissed off at the Russians, or the arguments being made. What do you think the chances are now that anybody's going to allow Russian guns into the U.S. so those people can make money? What do you think the chance of that going to be? If you think the Republicans are going to be like, yeah, let's lift those sanctions on that, quote, AK-74 ammo. No, the Democrats aren't going to do it. I mean, this is bad. This is bad news for everyone that's sitting around waiting for stuff to come back in. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but here's the way I look at that. I mean, right now, the Democrats are doing whatever they can to hammer Trump, but things will settle down. I'm not saying that they're not always going to be on his ass for the next 4 years. But what will happen is a lot of the things Trump is doing that they're hammering him on are going to work, and they are going to be good things. And then when it turns out that they are a good thing, they're going to have to start backpedaling on why they hammered him on it. And like I said, things will balance out. There will become an equilibrium. And it may, I mean, it's not going to happen tomorrow, but, you know, it may, you know, 2-3 years, you know, maybe the third or fourth year of his term, it may be okay, and the heat may be off to where you can lift these restrictions. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying it could. Then again, it could go the other way around. He could get hammered so hard it could be just 4 years of pure misery.
Could be. I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, it's just, the left is so hell bent on destroying Obama. I mean, on destroying Trump that.
Yeah, but you know what though? Things are already. I mean, things. They're doing things. They're attacking him in so many ways. There's a lot of people right now even looking at the Democrats going, dude, really?
Yeah.
I mean, even liberals are going, really?
Well, do you know who the real loser is in all of this?
Who?
Putin.
Why do you say that?
Okay, there's a problem here. Okay, look, Mike Flynn. Okay, what's the deal with Flynn? Okay, and what's kind of the big picture? What's going on here with that? I'm not talking about like Russian agent and the Russians somehow quote hacked the election. I'm talking real conversation here. There's two schools of thought that the debate, guys like Flynn, and he's not the only one that thinks this. You know, it used to be in the old days that he's the guy that basically brought China in from the cold. Okay. And basically the idea being you got Russia and you got China, you got two big giant superpowers, and both of them teamed up against the West is not a good thing. And Nixon did a good job of prying China loose from the Cold War, from the communist, from the I guess the Soviet sphere of influence. And the idea being you don't want to have to deal with both of these assholes at the same time. Now, that's the old school theory, okay? And so China is obviously, a growing concern, and Russia is not a major superpower, but it would be nice if we could maybe have Russia on our side against China in case there's ever any kind of issues, or just even diplomatically or whatever. But now, also, guys like Flynn, they believe that we're in a war with, you can say radical Islam, but you can basically call them regressive hillbillies. Basically the modern world versus the dark ages. And as much as you may not like the Russians, or a lot of people, again, this isn't my thing, this is just making the argument, as much as maybe people may not like the Russians, or they may have spent their whole career, hating on Russia. I mean, you and I come from the Cold War era. Russia's not a communist country anymore. The Cold War is over, and Russia is a Western country. It's a Christian country, incidentally, and we in a world war against dark age hillbillies, doing business with Russia and having them on team modernity is a good thing, and that's the big debate that's going on with all of this right now. But the loser it's Putin, because now you had guys like Trump who were like, why can't we do business with Russia? Why do we have to hate Russia? Trump was making those arguments. And I don't know if Trump, we're going to have to see. A normal politician with all of this stuff going on, even if, let's say it was George Bush, someone of George Bush's caliber, and he was making the arguments that Trump was making against or for Russia. Well, the politics have turned so much. The fear the Russians have is now even people that would advocate for getting closer to the Russians now politically can't do it because they're going to look, quote, weak on Russia. So, I mean, and then if for some reason, this is the analysis that's bouncing around the Beltway and in Washington, this isn't me. The big fear the Russians have is if Trump is somehow impeached, removed, assassinated, whoever would replace Trump would be so anti-Russian that they would be truly screwed. And that's the Russians are now like, holy shit, we are really behind the eight ball here, because if Trump now basically tries to be more anti-Russian than the Democrats, that's going to hurt them. Or if the Democrats succeed or the Republicans succeed in removing Trump and somehow making it that he got in power because of the Russians, which isn't true, it's going to hurt them. And the Russians are in big trouble right now as far as politics in the West is concerned. That's why the Russians are floating a balloon. They're like, hey, would you guys like Snowden back? Yeah, seriously, right now Snowden's, quote, sitting pretty in Russia, and the reality is Snowden's a prisoner, and they've been floating a trial balloon. They're like, well, maybe Snowden could show up, in some airport, on the opposite side of customs, and there could be a handoff in some third party country, and maybe to. And the Russians they're going to be like, well, because of international law, or, we want it here or whatever. But the reality is it's to basically kiss ass, and basically, they've gotten everything they can get out of Snowden. And, maybe it's more valuable is trade bait. Welcome to the real world, bitches. I mean, people don't realize how serious, when Snowden flew to Russia, I was like, oh, dude, that fucker, he's screwed. He is screwed, that guy. He is screwed. So the world politics, and to bring this back to why is this important to people listening to the John1911 podcast and Marky and Freeze talking about shooting guns and having fun. Because I got news for everybody. Within the past 7 to 10 days, the chances of you getting your, was it 7N, what's that ammo, Freeze? The 545 ammo that the ATF unilaterally declared AP. I can't remember the 7N3 or 7. I don't even know what the hell it is. Yeah. The chances of getting any of that shit back into the U.S. right now, very poor. I mean, if we were like the odds makers in Vegas and we had to give numbers, those numbers would be less now than they were 10 days ago. Just because of the politics. Well,
and again, that's the politics of it. But again, things change, and this is me speculating, but look, the Democrats have a problem. They are going so deep down the rabbit hole right now. They're to the point where they can't even back out.
Oh yeah, they can't. They're so committed. Well, but has that ever stopped Democrats before?
No, it hasn't. But here's the thing. Again, I mean, look at the stock market. I mean, the stock market has been doing phenomenal since Trump got elected. I mean, the thing is, I mean, you start all these things he said he's going to do, he's doing, and they're blocking them, and they're doing whatever they can to derail it, and they've had a few victories. That's okay. I mean, statistically, they're going to. But when things start turning and people start realizing opposing Trump on everything you do, when these are good things, and then you're going to get the fair weather liberals that jump on the bandwagon, realize that maybe they have a little something in their paycheck. Maybe these tax cuts worked out for them. Maybe their son or husband was able to actually get a decent job. They're going to start going, well, wait a minute, and when that turn happens, and I truly believe it will, when that turn happens, all these people that are so deep down this rabbit hole are going to be totally, totally screwed. And when they're screwed, they're going to be the odd man out. And that's when things like this can happen.
Well, you know what? You're right if we had a normal politician in office, but let me tell you what's probably going to happen. Trump is not a normal politician. He's not a long game guy. Trump is not a person. Okay, in a boxing analogy, Trump is not a guy who likes to go 12 or 15 rounds and win on a split decision. Trump likes to win every round. And so what Trump will do is he's going to go into the intelligence community, which is basically what, we've warned about, the unelected bureaucrat inside of Washington, D.C. is the most dangerous thing. The most dangerous threat to the United States that there is currently. It's not ISIS. It's the unelected Washington bureaucrat. Because these people, they have so much power and they're not accountable to anybody. Trump is going to go into the IC and basically say, give me this fucking transcript of this fucking goddamn phone call, and they're going to listen to it. And if it's not as bad as everyone says it is, he's going to declass it, because Trump can unilaterally. He's the president of the United States. He is the top classification officer in the U.S. government. He can literally go declassified and fucking put a link out on Twitter and basically nuke everybody and be like, you assholes destroyed this man for no fucking reason. I mean, we'll see. Trump is not like George Bush. Trump doesn't let stuff go. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here. It's going to be really interesting. And also, again, the people that may be listening to this and the Flynn thing, look, if you and I were incoming members of some administration, even before we were sworn in, but after the election, so it's a done deal, we would be having conversations with counterparts, foreign governments that do the same thing we do. I mean, the fact that Flynn was having a conversation with, the Russian ambassador to the United States is not unusual.
No, it's not. But
not at all.
Yeah. But
I've had conversations with ambassadors to the United States.
But, again, everything's blown out of proportion. And, from a politics point of view, you got to cut your losses. He just got chewed up by the machine. It happens. It's happened in the past, and it'll happen in the future.
But you know what? One thing I know about Trump is he's very loyal, and they're floating trial balloons. Like, they were talking about maybe Petraeus might be the new guy, but now they're saying it's is it Harwood, or he's a Navy, he's a SEAL admiral guy, retired guy. But apparently Trump had lunch with Chris Christie today. Another guy that was basically out. For reasons, and it's been 3 weeks, and he's, Chris Christie may be coming back in. Trump does not abandon his friends.
Look, it doesn't surprise me that he's. It doesn't surprise me that we'll see Christie popping his head back up. Christie's like he's like the clap. He's gonna pop back up eventually.
You finally caught some you can't wash off.
I should. You know what? He's like herpes. He never goes away. But he flares up every once in a while. Now, look, I'm not a big fan of Chris Christie, but look, when Trump dropped Christie from his,
that killed Trump. That killed Trump to do that.
Well, he had to. And I'm not going to get into it because that's old news. But, look, at the time, it was the right decision. He had to do it. There
was an investigation hanging over Christie's head. Now, guess what? Oh, that's all closed. The Democrats in the New Jersey in the New Jersey government are like, yeah, there's nothing to see here. There's nothing going on. We closed it. We found no wrongdoing on his part. Now it's like, okay, well, because they thought he was done, so they let him go. Now he could be back.
Yeah, exactly. So, so that doesn't surprise me the least bit, and honestly, I don't like Chris Christie personally. But with that being said, I think Chris Christie could have some, depending on what he ends up doing. Chris Christie is he's not the worst politician out there. No,
my opinion on Chris Christie is, I don't like Chris Christie politically. I like him personally. I've had some contact with some high level people in his administration in the state of New Jersey, and I generally like them. But I'm a gun guy, and Chris Christie is the governor of New Jersey, and we just we do not see eye to eye on that entire topic. And, part of me says, well, maybe it's just because he's in New Jersey, he has to play in New Jersey. I know.
You know what? I understand Chris Christie does have to play the New Jersey game when it comes to Second Amendment and, in gun shit. But the truth is, at the end of the day, if there was another Sandy Hook and Christie was president and he had to make the tough decision, he would go the route of the ban.
Here's the thing. Look, as much as I personally like Chris Christie, if he was the Attorney General of the United States and the subject of repealing the NFA or repealing the Hughes Amendment came up, and I had to count on the Attorney General, U.S. Attorney General, to support that, if it was going to happen or not, I would not count on Chris Christie to do it, because his record doesn't prove otherwise. If Chris Christie, sells his house in New Jersey, moves to Northern Virginia, and all of a sudden shows up with a bunch of machine guns, and he's like, "Yeehaw, I'm finally free," maybe I'll give him a chance. But right now, as far as I'm concerned, politically, he's a jackass politician from New Jersey, and so I just don't trust him. But if Trump wants to bring him in to be some inside knife fighter, like Jim Baker, to do something, that's fine. I don't care.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking, for being inside Trump's administration, I think he could actually do a pretty damn good job.
Oh, yeah. He'd do fine.
Again, like I said before, I'm not a big fan of Chris Christie, but with that being said, I don't think he's a total douchebag, and I think he could actually do a decent job, if Trump puts him in the right position.
Yeah. Hey, there's two things I want to talk about. One of them you probably know's coming because you know what interests me, but one of them I'm going to throw you a bone on because I think it might interest you. And you're not, again, for reason we don't talk ahead of time, be like, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. He has no idea what I'm about to say. And it could be a miss, but I know he has strong feelings on this person. You ready?
Yes.
Danica Patrick's racing team sues sponsor Nature's Bakery. Stewart Haas Racing has filed a $31 million breach of contract lawsuit against Nature's Bakery on Friday, accusing the company of refusing to pay millions of dollars it owes the team to sponsor driver Danica Patrick this season. Bottom line is Danica Patrick's sponsor isn't ponying up the money. Do you have an opinion on that?
Nope. Nope.
I detect a little twinge of
look. Okay.
Well, you know what? My theme for these two subjects is going to be women assassins. So
okay, I'm not a big fan of Stewart Haas Racing. Tony Stewart's a douchebag. And Danica Patrick is a lousy, horrible fucking driver who shouldn't even be in the sport. So I honestly don't fucking care.
Well, I think the reason I thought that was interesting is because, all right, here's the problem. Freeze thinks Danica Patrick is kind of like these women that are, look, not all the women, but there are a number of women who are on some of these shooting teams that when you show up and you see them shoot, you're like, you
big titties.
Yeah.
Big titties.
You're like,
whoa.
You're like, hey, you really ain't that good. It's like, be like this, like Snake Plissken. I thought you'd be better. You know what I mean? They're just like, And there's some women you're like, damn, that girl can shoot. Danica Patrick is one of those women that you just are not a big fan on. Well, it turns out if she's fake, turns out that Nature's Bakery, I guess is her sponsor, they had to get some kind of waiver from NASCAR to become her sponsor because their financials weren't even really in line. They weren't able to show enough financial depth to be able to sponsor a team. And that's a lot of money. It's like $60 million, isn't it? So, I mean, it's almost like if NASCAR shoehorned her into the sport, they literally shoehorned her sponsor because it doesn't look like her sponsor was able to meet the preliminary financial obligations to sponsor somebody, and they actually kind of kept it going because they wanted to keep her going. And this has turned into a double clusterfuck. And I thought you'd find that interesting. Because I just saw that. And I know you think Danica Patrick is fake as a $3 bill.
Yes, I do. And look, NASCAR rules with an iron fist.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to go too far off into that because you're going to start talking about Toyota, and we don't want to.
Yeah, but no, I mean they do. They rule with an iron fist. You just don't walk in there and say, "Hey, I've got a company that's worth $30 billion. I want to sponsor a car." It goes beyond having the money. You have to meet NASCAR's criteria.
Yeah, and they apparently
and it's not like, well, this is a free country. If I want to spend my money to sponsor this car, I should be allowed. No, if NASCAR doesn't like you, you don't get to spend shit.
But it was interesting that they couldn't find a sponsor that had deep pockets that was interested in sponsoring her, but they found Nature's Bakery, and apparently if you look at the back end of this, Nature's Bakery didn't have the juice. Their books were not. They weren't deep enough, and they were basically, NASCAR was like, well, you can put some money on it and you can make payments, and Nature's Bakery's never kept up, and they're finally now to the point. I'm curious if she'll even run. But in my theme of assassins that just destroy, female assassins, so did you hear about Kim Jong-un's half-brother?
Yes, I did.
Now, I actually know a little bit about this dude. He is, when I heard about this, I was traveling and I'm like, oh man, I mean, something's going on with the Chinese because he basically lives in Macau full time. Turns out he was in, I think it was in Singapore, or was it Malaysia? Or was he, Kuala Lumpur. So he was at Kuala Lumpur International Airport on Monday. And the story is, which this is important, the Kuala Lumpur part means he wasn't on Chinese territory. He was traveling outside of the diplomatic coverage of China, and the North Koreans decided to take him out. And the fear is that the North Korea is becoming concerned that that China would try to replace him with his half brother to somehow give them some kind of, no, everything's fine. We just have, this new leader, same as the old leader. We just killed him. And so the North Korean guy must be getting upset about that and getting worried about it if he actually decided to kill this person. And, apparently it's, the story is, and this guy's, here's the thing, this half brother dude, oh my God, he has such a horrible reputation. I mean, he's like a drug addict and a playboy, and like he shit talks the DPRK and all kinds of crap. I mean, he's just a piece of crap. But, he was killed by apparently two women, or the initial reports were two female assassins, and then now they're showing only one, but he was poisoned, they think, in the Kuala Lumpur International Airport terminal.
Yeah, the report I read said that they thought they walked up and stuck him with a poison pen, like a needle with poison on.
And that's not that uncommon. I mean, there's been some killings. The Russians have done that in Europe, and there's been other incidents. But then here's dude. If we were still making T-shirts right now, they have security footage of one of the assassins. They've released CCTV footage of the girl that supposedly killed this dude. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Looks like she's got pink leggings on, maybe some kind of skirt, and then she has a white long sleeve T-shirt on. And as clear as a bell on the front of her shirt, and it's a white shirt, long sleeve, in big black letters, it says LOL on it.
Get the hell out of here. LOL. That's awesome. That is awesome.
So that is not an
The only
accident.
thing that would make that better is if it said YOLO.
So they sent a woman to kill him with a shirt that said LOL on it. And it's like, dude, we may have to, when we fire up the merchandising again, we may have to do an LOL shirt, women's only. Yeah, that's wonderful. I love that. That's great, dude. I got a screen grab of the CCTV, and she's by the curb getting into a car. and it is clear as a bell. Clear as a bell. And yeah, I mean, supposedly they were traveling as, and this is going to be interesting too, because I don't know if they're trying to track these people down, but they were saying they were traveling as, quote, Vietnamese tourists. So I don't know if they had fake Vietnamese papers, which is going to, be an issue for Vietnam, because that's going to piss off Vietnam big time. Because Vietnam,
the thing that this whole story, Kim Jong's stepbrother being poisoned, needled by a Oriental chick with an LOL shirt. This could be like the script for the next Hangover movie.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is just. Oh yeah. This is just awesome stuff here. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that, dude. I mean, people don't realize the crazy shit that goes on, especially like these foreign. Look, there was the story I'm about to tell is 100% true. 100% true. And when I tell the story, a lot of people listening to this are going to be like, bullshit. I'm trying to remember what country this was in. I don't know if this was in Philippines. No. I don't think it was Australia. I'm trying to remember who were the players. Okay, so there may have been I think it was maybe a Japanese diplomat, and I think he was Japanese. Could be, I'm pretty sure it was a Japanese diplomat. Could have been Filipino, but it could have been Japanese. An ally of the United States. And so he was stationed, at the embassy for I don't know, like let's say he's a Japanese ambassador and he was stationed in like the Philippines, or he was the Japanese ambassador to Malaysia or Thailand or something. I can't remember. He's Japanese ambassador to one of these other Southeast Asian countries. And when you're on that kind of posting, you're there with your family, your wife and your kids and whatever, and you've got your position at the embassy, and you typically have a residence. Well, this is all true, and this, what had happened, it never was made clear how this situation developed. If the communist agents had created the situation, or whether they detected it. But what had happened was this diplomatic officer's wife was having a sexual affair. You ready for this one, Freeze? Again, this is 100% true.
Yeah.
With their dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And apparently it was a big dog, and they were able to videotape her having sex or record her having sex with this dog. And what they were going to do is they were going to blackmail the ambassador, or they were going to blackmail somebody to get access to, say, whatever they could to, report on the West. And I think at one point, I don't know if they tried to turn her and they approached her and she didn't bite. And so maybe they killed the dog, and then she got so upset, basically went crazy because she was so remorseful. If I recall, then somehow the ambassador got hooked into this, and I think he ended up committing suicide, and the whole operation exploded because it all went sideways. But this is actually a true story. This is to go. Look, I did a Q&A while I was traveling, and a guy had asked whether I thought Trump was compromised. And, I don't think, quote, Trump is compromised. It's interesting because all these people talking about Trump's compromised and all this. Trump is, look, if Trump is a narcissist and he's a self-centered bastard like all these people want to say, you could have videotape of Donald Trump snorting coke off a Russian hooker's ass. And if you were to come to Donald Trump and you'd be like, you were going to do what we say or we're going to release the tape, he'd be like, he'd be like, press send on his fucking email and be like, put it on his Twitter account. I mean, you know what I mean? If he's truly a narcissist, you really can't, he's gonna be like, yeah, and them Russian hookers ain't that good, I've had better. You know what I mean? You can't really blackmail a guy like that who's got, he's got nothing to hide. But my point is, if you are a prominent person or an international person or a wealthy person and you travel around the world, people would be surprised at how much espionage and monitoring happens, of just prominent people and what agencies collect information on, because you just never know when it's going to come in handy. And, a guy like Trump, you never know. When he was 30 years old, maybe he was in Singapore having sex with a dog. You know what I mean? I mean, I can't say publicly whether I think Trump has never been, quote, compromised on that. But you know what?
I'll tell you what, Trump's an old dude, and he's been around a long time, and he's been in the spotlight for many, many, many years. There may be something out there embarrassing, but you know what? It's hard to embarrass a guy like Trump too, because he does own it.
Yeah, I mean, he owns that hair. I mean, dude, I saw Trump, I've gotten used to his hair. It's like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I believe it's real, I guess. And I saw he was signing something, and he had his head down on the desk, and it's the first time I'd ever seen the top of his head looking down at and I was like, dude, what the fuck? I don't know what that is on his head, or if that's grafted or glued, but dude, you look at it from the top, because it's not an angle you're used to seeing with that huge, it was just like, man, that is the fake ass looking hair, dude. It was just, whatever. I mean, look, you can walk around wearing that. Look, who's the guy that's on Fox? Here's some guy on Fox News. He's on during the day. Guy's probably in his late 50s, and he's got this toupee on. He's got the hairline of a 12-year-old. And I'm just like, I'm watching this, and I'm like, how in the hell are these women not laughing their asses off at this old dude with this freaking toupee on? Everything with toupee is like a full-ass wig. And it's just like, man, it's like, whatever. Who you fooling? I don't know. Maybe you start wearing that, you end up getting stuck. I'll just wear a little bit, for a while. Then it gets worse and worse and worse. You can't all of a sudden be 55 years old and be like, G. Gordon Liddy, horseshoe bald, I guess. I don't know.
Look, I know this guy, who hangs around, the gun military, surplus circuit. And if you saw him walking from a distance, he kind of would, he has a cigar in his, a stub of a cigar in his mouth a lot of the times. It kind of reminds you of your friend John. Okay. But this guy has this toupee he wears. And this thing, he's had this toupee. I've known the guy for 20 years, and he's had the same toupee. And it looks like a dead freaking rat. It's coal black. However, what little hair he has left on the sides and the back is shocking gray. So he's got this ring of gray with this big old black dead rat. And it's like, and it's not like you look at that and you go, oh my God, that's the worst fucking toupee I've ever seen in my life. So, it's not like it's like, could it be? Couldn't it be? No, you just know it's bad.
And like Donald Trump, we all don't know what to think of Donald Trump some days. One thing I do like about Trump is I like that he punches back, and I thoroughly enjoy that. But you know what, dude? That hair, what the hell?
Oh, yeah, I know. But you know what? It's almost like his trademark, though.
Yeah. And the thing is, you get used to seeing it, so you're not shocked by it anymore. But then, when you see it from the top, you realize how ridiculous it really is. And you're just like, damn, that is like a full wig. on his head.
Well,
or
I'm
something.
sure it's surgically attached. It's probably plugs or something.
Yeah, but I mean, but guys like that function at that level. I mean, can you embarrass them? I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like.
Well, the thing is, I don't think you can embarrass Donald Trump.
No.
I don't think it's possible.
I don't think you can make Donald Trump do anything he doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
Donald Trump doesn't go home and sulk and then, come to a reasonable accommodation. That motherfucker goes home, gets a drink, and fires up his Twitter app. And is pissed off, tweeting stuff. I mean, I don't think Donald Trump's compromised. I don't think the Russians are controlling much of anything. I think the Russians are starting to get scared shitless. They're getting really worried.
Well, and a lot of people are scared shitless. The Democrats are scared shitless because no one can predict what Donald Trump's going to do. He's a loose cannon in their mind.
You know what? You actually have made probably the most astute political observation that anybody's made in a long time, including me, and this is the truth. Why is everybody so upset right now? Republicans are upset. Democrats are upset. The Muslim world's upset. Our allies are upset. The Russians are upset. Donald Trump's, buddies everybody's all in an uproar because at the end of the day, nobody knows what Donald Trump is thinking. He plays everything so close to the vest. He tells you, here's the thing, he's not like a normal politician who basically goes out and basically, like Hillary Clinton shows up, I ain't no ways tired. Just they say whatever they have to say in front of a crowd, and then, their policy papers come out, their position papers come out, and everybody kind of like threads the needle and figures out what the truth is. Donald Trump does two things. He runs his mouth. He generally means what he says. And until he opens his mouth, he keeps everything real close to the vest, and everybody has to sit and wait. And a lot of people, politicians and people don't like that. I mean, it's not, the system is not set up to handle that well because everyone likes to be lazy because they want everything to be easy. And Trump, there's nothing easy about Trump.
No, but it's just like when Trump told the media he was going to make a comment on the whole Obama birther thing, and the media, it's like, oh my God, we're going to catch him, making some stupid birther comment. So they all went to Trump Tower. They all got to listen to the veterans, praise Trump. They all got to listen to this big, huge Trump speech, and they covered it. And then at the end, he's just like, he was born here in the U.S. Case closed. Or one of my favorite sayings, "Nuff said." God, I fucking hate when people say that. But anyway, and it was just like, and the media's just like, oh, fuck me, man. We just covered an event at Trump Tower at I think it was the grand opening of one of his gala things. And it's just like, he just totally screwed us over. But you know what? The media did it to themselves. Because they didn't go in there thinking, okay, we're going to report on Trump. They went in there thinking, I wonder what stupid shit's going to come out of his mouth, and we can fucking burn him for the next week on.
Look, here's a couple examples of, again, and no one cares about this. Probably our listeners are probably, they don't care either. But, I'm tired. I'm just going to talk about it. Trump is so amazing because he always tells the truth. And what I mean by that is, politicians don't tell the truth because there's all this stuff you're, quote, not supposed to say. Like Trump talking about NATO, and all these people, we're all pissed off because he's, basically saying they're ripping us off. And the bottom line is, NATO membership has a requirement that you as a member have to spend at least 2% of your GDP on self-defense. And if you look down that list, the U.S. spends over 2%. Britain is over 2%. Greece is over 2% because of inflation, because of their economy so fucked up, but they don't spend anything. But there's all these countries that it's like it's well under 2%. And it's like Trump, in the media, they're like, oh my God, and they're all talking about NATO, oh my God, the world, the media talk goes on for weeks about how Trump is undermining NATO. And the reality is Trump was telling the truth. But see, politicians are never allowed to say that. But Trump comes out and basically told the world, y'all better pay your fucking fair share or I'm going to start calling you out on it. Maybe we'll kick you out of NATO. And, you can't say that kind of stuff. And what the hell else was?
Well, you can't say that kind of stuff, but that circles us all the way around to why everyone's afraid of Trump, and they're all trying to basically hammer on him is because he's a game changer. He's doing and saying things that you have to play the game to be in politics, and he doesn't. Trump plays Trump's game, not their game.
But here's the thing: that is an example of Trump taking a policy position that he's researched, and he knew what he was going to say, and it wasn't politically correct, and he went there anyway. And even right now, Mattis, the new SecDef, is over in Brussels. Right now, let's see, it's 5:30 here, so yeah, he's not there. He's in his hotel now, but he's meeting with NATO members, and basically Mattis is over there saying, we're committed to NATO, we're committed to this, we're committed to that. P.S. I have a list of all the countries that aren't paying 2%. And, that's not getting any coverage. Poland's paying 2%, or Poland's going to pay 2%. It's interesting, like all these countries that are like border Russia, or really subjugated to Russian aggression, all of a sudden they're all paying their 2%. But here's another example. Trump was given an interview the other day. I don't know if it was I don't remember even who it was, but they were basically talking about Putin and how Putin's a killer. Putin's a killer. How can you do business with a killer? How can we do this? And basically just trying to hammer Trump on even just the idea of I don't know if I'll get along with the Russians, but I hope I do, but whatever. And, basically trying to hit him with, Putin's a killer. And Trump literally said something that you can't say. Politically correctness says you can't say this. Nobody has the balls to say it. Everybody was all pissed off that he said it because how dare you say that? But it turns out it's all 100% true. Trump goes and, we're so innocent. Like America doesn't. I mean, seriously, America, we don't fucking kill people.
Oh, we kill people every fucking day.
Oh my God, it's like
it's like it's our job. Well, that's because it is. SOCOM. What does SOCOM do around a goddamn world? When you get a commendation with a V Valor device on it, you didn't get that for pushing fucking paper. No.
I mean, it's it's just crazy. I mean, why haven't we beat? It's another example. How come Obama didn't beat ISIS? One, because he created it inadvertently. That's the whole FSA thing I was talking about before with the American people going over there. But the thing is, it's this whole rules of engagement thing. There's women and children here, or there's civilians in that location, but it's a node that's really important to their combat operations logistically or whatever, so we're not going to bomb it. Well, but so you don't bomb it because you don't want to kill those civilians that happen to be there, but by not bombing it for 2 years, that whatever that thing is involved in and supporting ends up killing hundreds and hundreds or thousands of people over a multi-year period. So at the end of the day, what's worse? Killing a few innocent people quickly and ending the violence as soon as you can, or letting this thing drag on and the agony goes on forever, killing more and more and more people. Political correctness will not let us talk about that conversation regarding the use of military force. That's why the Russians went into Syria and have done so well. When the Russians showed up and the Iranians showed up in force, they went in and they identified, oh, look, here are nodes where the Turks are actually supporting ISIS. Yeah, you know what? Fucking bomb those motherfuckers. Oh, here are nodes that are really ISIS, but on the other hand, they're also getting weapons from the U.S. Now, fuck it. That's a combat node. Bomb that motherfucker. You know what I mean? And the Russians they just basically identified targets that needed to be wiped out, and they hit them. And it made a big difference. The Russian military's not that strong and not that successful. It's just their rules of engagement made sense. Trump makes sense. That's why that's why everyone's so tense and pissed off.
Yeah.
Because you never know what nugget of truth's going to come out of his mouth.
Well, it's kind of refreshing.
It is refreshing.
And it's humorous at the same time,
Yeah. Hey, I have a sexual confession I need to bring up right now on air. I never told you this. We haven't discussed this, but you know the girl that showed up at the Grammys wearing the Trump dress?
Yeah.
She's so hot.
I don't even know who she is. That's the first time I'd ever heard her name or seen her, but apparently she's been around for a few years.
Her, because I was traveling. Her name is Joy Villa or Villa. I don't know how you say it. I mean, it's weird. She's to me, she looks black. She has a Hispanic name, and turns out, if you Google her name, she's kind of like Lady Gaga. She shows up at all these events in these crazy outfits. Like some of them, she's like half naked. But it turns out she's from Orange County, California, which is a big Republican stronghold. And she apparently is no joke. She didn't just do that, she did it for self-promotion. I'm talking about her now, but she's apparently a Trump supporter. That's for real. I mean, her whole background and everything about her. And I think she's hot. She's apparently, like, her song went from 150,000 or 15,000 to like number 3 or number 1.
Well, actually, it like hit number 1. But here's the thing: that song's not even new. That song's like 2 or 3 years old.
That's awesome.
But you know what though? You get like all the Grammy people that were slamming Adele because Adele beat Beyonce.
I didn't see any of that.
For best album. I didn't see it, but I heard about it. I read about it. And basically the naysayers are because Odell's white and the man was keeping Beyonce down is basically the gist of it. But here's the thing. This chick shows up at the Grammys with a, I want to screw Trump dress or whatever the hell it was. And, she has a 2 or 3 year old song that was basically nothing on the charts that immediately like went up to like number 3. Then I think a couple days ago it hit number 1 just because she wore the dress. At what point in time, if you're one of these liberal douchebags, do you sit back and go, maybe, just maybe, the majority of the people, mind you, the majority of the people that buy songs support Trump.
Look, there's a couple things at play here. Number one is it's interesting because, in all these old leftists, they're so used to being the quote counterculture, like they're the rebels, and they're the whatever up against the man, and the truth is, dude, you know what? All these people are in power. They all have money. They have influence. They all echo off each other. They all pat each other on the back. They're all leftist, communist, socialist, America hater, cop hater, racist bigots. And, it's interesting. The people that produced the Grammy, supposedly they made some comment like, because they anticipated there was going to be a lot of anti-Trump stuff. And they were like, well, we want our artists to, be true to themselves and it's part of music and blah, blah. And, all these excuses basically saying, get ready. This woman showed up. she was wearing some kind of big white cloak over this, and she'd have showed up on the red carpet, and they're all lined up, and she drops this thing, and she's wearing this Make America Great dress, and they're just getting death threats. And it's interesting. It's all great to be political if you are a leftist, but if you're political and you're on the right, or you're not a communist, or heaven forbid, a black woman, I mean, this is truly the counterculture now. If you're into guns, if you're into freedom, if you're into, not giving all your shit away, you're now a rebel. And this woman, I mean, I'm curious how this woman's life has changed for the better and for the worse. I'll tell you what, I actually tried to buy one of her songs today just out of principle. I was like, I'm going to go spend 99 cents and go buy one of her songs. But my card on file was expired, so I was like, all right, I'll give him the goddamn card. I'm gonna go get one of her songs. And you look at her songs, and you're right. There's a bunch of songs from a couple years ago, and she's like songs about freedom and songs about I'm not saying she's a rah like God bless America person, but you could tell there's something going on there. She's like Italian and she's half her heritage. She's black Italian maybe or something, and
I don't know. Like I said, I've never heard of the girl before.
I never heard of her either. But it's interesting because just considering everything that's going. Look, if you're listening to this and you're if you're a minority, if you're listening to this right now, you're listening to a couple white guys prattle on about nothing. If you're a minority and you basically kind of, agree with everything we believe in, do you realize that right now is the time for you to go into politics, go into media, go into whatever? If you are a black, I'm not even say conservative, because conservative to me, a conservative is like Ted Cruz. If you're a black libertarian, if you're a black just love America freedom person, or a Hispanic love America freedom person, or a gay love America freedom person, this is your time. Everybody's waiting for you. You can literally come down off the mountain and you are solid gold.
Hey, why do you think Milo is getting so much traction? Because he's the only one out there in his niche that's out. Well, okay, granted, he's outspoken and he's way outspoken, but the point is he's filling a void that is, dude, and there's a lot more room in that void for other people.
Oh yeah. Oh, they try to come after this girl. I think her stage name is Princess Joy Princess VA or something. They crapping on her for whatever, and that's fine. Like oh great, another low rent black person, or mediocre, whatever they were trying to say, Uncle Tom, whatever.
Yeah.
And then because she obviously didn't sew this dress. She's apparently not she's not a seamstress. So they tracked down who made the dress, because she had it custom made, because all of her stuff is so crazy. She has it all custom made. Turns out the person that made her dress is a gay immigrant. And they're just like, God damn it. I mean, they just like, and well, dude, we're talking about her. I was like, okay. As soon as I saw this girl, I was like, oh, she's making the podcast.
Okay, but here's the thing. All the people on the left. I'm
gonna have Mitch roll her music into our out music, probably.
Whatever. All the people on the left that were trying to figure out who sewed the dress, because then maybe we can. Okay, so you said the seamstress was a gay immigrant.
I don't know if it was a female, but the person who made the dress is apparently a gay immigrant.
Okay, now, from a gay immigrant's point of view, it's like, do I make this dress and make money? Or do I want to stand on my political... Dude, they're a gay immigrant. They don't give a shit who Donald Trump is. They got paid big bucks to make a dress.
But you know what? But here's the other thing. And again, I know a lot of black people that like Trump. And even if they don't like Trump, they respect him. They respect the fact that he fights and he's not a pussy. And there's a lot of black people out there that secretly like Trump, but they're afraid to open their mouths because they don't want to get called mediocre Negroes by the Beyoncés of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're right. But I want to change subjects here.
Yeah, we can't talk about the hot chick forever. So hot. Oh my gosh, she's so hot.
Did you hear about the greatest pilot in the universe?
I did.
The guy who broke the speed record on the, I don't know, all the Star Wars guy. Oh shit. I just called it Star Trek.
Shit.
All the nerds are going to go ape shit. Whatever, he broke the record
you
on
mean
whatever
Lando
run.
Calrissian?
Wow. Oh, that's right. Drop the black guys.
Dude, oh my God. We're going to get so delisted from iTunes. I'm so screwed.
So, old Harrison Ford nearly wipes out a 737 the other day.
Oh, I saw that.
Dude, you know the FAA is going to yank his license soon.
Oh, they're going to have to yank his, because he's had a couple of other incidents. Well,
Dude, I think he crashed a plane a year or two ago.
He did. He ended up, he put it down in like a golf course.
Yeah, I mean, didn't he like break a leg or?
Oh yeah, he broke his.
He broke a leg or an arm or he broke.
No, he may have broke his leg making the movie. I think he may have broke his leg on the set of Star Wars.
Maybe so, but I mean, when he crashed that plane into the golf course a couple of years ago, he did sustain injuries. I think he broke some bones.
To his credit, that crash landing was actually pretty good.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Well,
it doesn't matter. The FAA frowns on crash landings.
Oh, yeah. I guess I should know that, shouldn't I?
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. It doesn't matter if it was your fault or not. You know?
You know what? The thing is here, this one, is he the guy, did he land in the wrong city once drunk, or was that Patrick Swayze that did that? Patrick Swayze used to fly around. No, luckily Patrick's dead. If I'm wrong, I don't want to get sued. But I remember there was one or two of these actors that were pilots that were somebody they were drunk and they landed in the wrong city. They were like, yeah, I'm in Tulsa. They're like, nah, man, you're in Bismarck. Like, fuck it. You know, and it was crazy. And I for some reason, I think Harrison Ford maybe landed in the wrong city once.
I don't know. That incident doesn't.
How old is Harrison Ford?
He's like 73, 74. He's in his mid 70s, maybe 75, something like. He's up there. But dude,
he might have to switch to like an LSA license and just stay out over the cornfields for a while, because he can't be flying in the major airports apparently.
Yeah, well, you know, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's bad. I mean, look, and the truth is, what happens quite often. Well, maybe not quite often, but I mean, it's not an unheard of incident. International airports are pretty damn busy. You know, and if his name wasn't Harrison Ford, the pilot of the Millennium Falcon, we wouldn't be hearing about this in the news.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, yeah, and it is what it is. But
so, did he almost actually crash into a 747?
No, it was a 737. It was taxiing out to the runway, and he actually was coming in for a landing, and he landed on a taxiway. And
did he actually land?
Yeah, he did, and he had to actually hop over the plane. Because if he wouldn't have pulled up and hopped over the plane, he'd have T-boned it.
Holy shit, dude! That's like a major incident.
He missed his runway.
Yeah,
and landed on the taxiway. Seriously, it was bad.
We're gonna have to end on that one, I guess. Poor Han Solo.
Oh, well, good things Chewie's dead. Oh, wait a minute. I mean, his girlfriend's dead or whatever. I don't know. Someone's dead.
I don't know. So, yeah, I'm glad he's not, whatever. So, but.
Oh, I mean, you
just wonder, is he old or is he drunk? I just, the first thing I was like, man, is Harrison drunk? So.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's time to, maybe it's time for the flight surgeon to fail him on his next. That's
a major airport. There could be an FAA. I wonder if they detained him on the spot and made him do a piss test or something, maybe hey, you're grounded right now. You know what I mean?
I guarantee you he's grounded. I mean, until the investigation's over. I mean, whether he gets his ability to fly back, I don't know. It's a major incident at a major international airport. So,
well, it's going to make you wonder what was the actual cause of the crash landing a couple years ago. They may have, was it mechanical or was it pilot error or did he failure to maintain his aircraft properly and that's why it went down?
Well, I don't know, but I do know the aircraft he crashed at the golf course a couple years ago was like an old World War II trainer.
Yeah, it was like a AT-6 or something. Or?
Yeah, it was something like that. It was an open cockpit, some kind of a trainer. I don't remember exactly what model it was. And I mean, it was probably mechanical. I don't know the details to it. It happened a couple of years ago. If I knew the details, I don't recall.
I'll bet that wasn't even 2 years ago. I bet that was less than 2 years ago.
It could have been.
Yeah, it was not that long ago. So,
yeah.
All right, okay. Anything else? We should probably wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm good.
All right.
I mean, I can sit here and talk all night long.
I know. Dude, I am so exhausted.
Yeah.
My
day's been, it's been a crazy past couple of days.
Yeah.
So.
A lot going on, so. All right. Well, this wraps up episode 54 of the John1911 Podcast. You can visit our blog page at john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. If you like this podcast, think about liking us or subscribing to us on iTunes. We also have a YouTube channel, so think about looking us up on YouTube and subscribing to us there if you like video content. So just remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, thank you for your time and have a good day.
See you later.